Welcome to the GMB YouTube channel, where every Thursday we do our Throwback Thursday stories, whether it's looking back at our episodes or each time we talk about it. In this case right here, the school dress code. That's what's today. That's our main focus throughout the 10 to 15, 20 minutes. So for the next 20 minutes on this episode, we're focusing on that dress code. That brings us to 6 months ago, because I got a lot to say about this. If you were around 6 months ago, you heard about a dress code that happened in North Texas. That was to where they banned hoodies and dresses. Take a look at this.
What?
Don't agree with the new dress code rules.
Brooklyn Holloman wore a dress while speaking to the board of Forney ISD.
I'm here to talk and hopefully to change your mind.
Under the district's new dress code,
I think they're really unfair.
she can't wear this when she starts 10th grade later this year, nor does it promote professionalism in the district's eyes.
I'm wearing it to contradict what Forney is claiming.
That new dress code, the point of contention at Monday's board meeting.
This right here is not the problem in our schools.
Last week, the district announced no more clothing with hoods in schools, including hoodies, jackets, and coats with hoods. And this is the one hitting a nerve. No dresses, skirts, or skirts for 5th graders and up.
Do I need to really fill out a form and get permission from my girl to dress like, a girl?
The district's reasons for all this? Enhance school safety, bridge socioeconomic differences among students.
Every profession has a dress code.
The district also says changes like this will even teach professionalism.
I think it's asinine, to be very frank.
Forney Mayor Pro Tem James Traylor struggles with that one. He has a daughter in the district, saying plenty of women in the professional realm wear dresses or skirts every day.
I think it's putting a huge limit on students and children in this district to be able to express themselves.
Parents like Christian Reed also pointing out that now they're burdened with buying a whole new school wardrobe.
A set of clothes for school and then a set of clothes for everyday life when most school districts aren't even doing that.
Yet despite passionate pleas from parents, the school board didn't even address the elephant in the room. And at this point, a district spokesperson says a new dress code moving forward. But board members do have time before school begins to put the new dress code on the agenda, to repeal it, even amend it.
I really ask that you guys would reconsider.
Judging by what we heard,
I think it needs to be changed.
many want them to. In Forney, I'm Matt Howerton.
Wow. It's just not right. I mean, if banning dresses, a lot of women wear dresses. I mean, if you see news anchor women, they wear dresses. If you see, if you work in a newspaper, a lot of women wear dresses, sometimes wear pants. And now you want to sit up here and say, oh, well, we want to teach professionalism. A dress is a professional item to wear. Now here's one that may shock you. We talked about this years ago. Imagine being suspended.
More than 100.
Imagine you and 99 other students were suspended right away, like that. No warning. Then you realize the school did not follow its own policy. Take a look at this.
How's it going? More than 100 suspensions handed out there at Wilby High School in Waterbury. They were handed out last Friday for dress code violations, but we've learned that the school just acted too fast.
News 8's LaSalle Blanks explains.
The big lesson at Wilby High School these days, pay attention to the dress code or you'll end up like these students and more than 100 others who were suspended last Friday.
They stopped me in the hallway, they rolled me up, told me to go to the office, and that's why I got suspended. But which wasn't fair.
Michael and his friend, who was also suspended, were surprised.
They weren't the only ones who were surprised. So were members of the Waterbury Board of Education, and they wrote the policy. Listen to their reaction when News 8 asked them about all these suspensions.
I was shocked.
Bob Brenker is the chief operating officer for the Waterbury Public School District. He agrees with Michael because he says Michael and other students should not have automatically been suspended, according to the Board of Education dress code policy guidelines written in July of 2005.
We didn't follow the 4 steps that are right in this policy.
Those state that if it's a student's first offense, that student should get a written warning, not a suspension. The second offense is a detention. A one-day suspension doesn't come until the 4th time a student violates the dress code. Many students wish.
And honestly, this whole dress code, I feel like it should just go away.
Brenker disagrees with that. He says the board believes dress codes enhance the learning environment in schools. He just says the principal may have handed out many of the suspensions too soon, in violation of the board's own policy.
We didn't follow our own policy. As adults, we should follow our policy too. So now we've taught students that if they do something wrong, it's okay, they'll be disciplined for it. But what happens to the adults, the people that do the suspensions? We should know better.
In Waterbury, LaSalle Blanks, News 8.
And they sure already know better. That principal needs to either be retrained or what happened. Coming up later, the 4 reasons why dress codes are sexist from NTV Impact. And coming up next, a video from 4 years ago about a North Texas school that received backlash after,
the whole school saw
after a video that was played. A viral video. Stay with us. Welcome back to our Throwback Thursday. We're talking about dress codes. And throughout the 6 years of this broadcast, we focused on a lot of dress codes that really discriminate against women. Now, this is an example from 3 months ago. And a bit later, I'm going to play you a viral video that happened 4 years ago to where a lot of women were dress coded. Let's take a look at this one.
A local family says CMS is treating female students unfairly when it comes to dress code violations. They say it's to the point that they have filed a Title IX complaint. And so in this report exclusively shared with WCNC Charlotte, the family details statements they say the dean of students made which traumatized their middle school daughter. Now, a Title IX complaint lets students lodge allegations of sex discrimination, including complaints of sexual harassment or sexual violence. And WCNC Charlotte Shamari Morrison shows us how the district is responding to the claims and why the family says it's not good enough.
When you ask Josie Mel about her middle school in Cornelius, you can tell she enjoys it.
A lot of clubs and a lot of really fun electives, and the Common Core teachers are really nice.
But after an incident at Bailey Middle School on August 31st, her feelings have shifted dramatically.
Well, we get lectures pretty much every day about something at lunch. So that morning we were expecting to get a lecture.
Their dean of students leads the talks.
Normally she has us chant about the 7 habits of highly effective teens. So we were expecting her to have us chant. And when we got there, she started on a lecture about dress code.
In this Title IX complaint, exclusively shared with WCNC, Josie's parents say the dean of students said that there was, quote, a new dress standard for girls at the school.
She mentioned that we had to bend down in our mirror every morning and stretch in front of our mirror every morning to make sure that we were in compliance of dress code. And then Ms. Woodbury had us start chanting bust, belly, butt continuously for around 2 minutes.
CMS told WCNC the dean of students, quote, did say those words, however, no chanting of those words were forcibly led or encouraged. WCNC obtained a copy of an email sent by Bailey Middle School's principal to community members asking about the August 31st event. The principal says to answer questions about the dress code, quote, Mrs. Woodbury addressed these which inadvertently led to the students chanting. adding it wasn't intentional, quote, as she has students chant 7 habits and other things on a regular basis. I believe this was an incident that simply got away from her. He said no one was singled out for gender, and he apologized. Who hasn't gotten an apology?
Can I have a hug, Mom?
Yeah. I was gonna hug you, but I thought it would make you cry more.
You're okay.
This family.
I'm so proud of you.
I haven't spoken to anyone at the school in leadership. My guess is that they would like this to go away. However, they're still targeting girls for dress code.
Deb and Howard Mell, Josie's parents, say they made 2 calls to the school before making this Twitter post about the incident. The district...
And this is what, now before we continue, this is what happened from Harry Mell, MD, MPH, face, fact, he/him. Hey, at Charmex Schools, is it appropriate to tell us all 7th grade girls to stand up in the lunchroom and repeat no bellies, busts, or butts in front of their peers? Teaching dress code by humiliating him. Miss Werbury, bend over in front of a mirror each morning. Really?
Denies any calls were made to the principal.
Somebody needs to say, no, stop this. You don't need to go looking in front of a mirror. The first thing you need to do, the last thing you need to do before you leave the house, make sure you've got everything you need to succeed today.
When asked about the incident about 3 weeks ago at a press conference, CMS's superintendent, Hugh Hadabaugh, said this.
I do know that's been addressed by the learning community superintendent with the principal, and the principal working with their staff to ensure that that type of process is handled a little bit better.
As for what it looks like,
I think you don't embarrass them in front of their peers. I think you do it in a common sense fashion, and you would take them or just ask, come with me please, and have a conversation about, adhering to the dress code.
We do know the district is aware of the Mel's Twitter posts. The principal addressed the issue via email with community members, and the highest authority in the district, the superintendent of schools, knows Josie's story.
It's teaching the boys at our school that girls can be treated like objects, and that we can be treated like we are there for boys to look at. Because at this point, that's what they're saying by saying that our clothes are distracting.
And I'm glad that complaint was filed. The town line complaint was filed because of what happened. You really don't discriminate. And if you're aware of that post and you're aware that changes need to be made, you need to stop this and say, hold on a minute here. We did something wrong. We need to fix this. This isn't just, hey, let's go discriminate women. We need to treat women like we're human beings. And you want to tell us men that we're... Sorry. And you want to tell us men we're not pigs? That we're pigs? We're not pigs. We're all human beings. We should be treated with respect, period. And if you want to sit up here and think that I'm being discriminated, that I'm in agreement with all women, you're dead wrong. And you want to come over here and say, well, we never discriminate? How about this video from CBS DFW 4 years ago? Take a look.
Well, the whole school saw it. Now the principal tonight is apologizing after getting a lot of complaints that it was sexist and also that it sent the wrong message to students. New at 10 o'clock, Marianne Martinez at Flower Mound's Marcus High School tonight for us. Marianne?
Well, Doug, that controversial video is one of 2 videos students saw on the second day of school regarding the dress code. The first was pretty generic, just what to wear and what not to wear. Go ahead and take a look at part of the second one.
Live faster, young bad girls, do it well. Live faster, young bad girls, do it well. Live faster, young bad girls.
Okay, ladies, follow me. The girls are taken to a dress code violators room filled with only other girls.
Repeat after me. I will not wear athletic shorts.
The first thing that really hit me was the song. I've seen boys who wear tank tops. I've seen boys whose pants are sagging and showing their underwear band, and that's also not in dress code, but that wasn't addressed even once.
In a letter to parents, Principal Will Skelton explained that a fashion show that demonstrates what to wear and what not to wear didn't happen. Quote, "We believed a video would be a good way to replace the fashion show, but this video absolutely missed the mark." In Catherine Mooring's eyes, the video shows a double standard in the student dress code and how society treats men and women.
We should be more educated on women's rights. We should be more educated on sexualization and rape culture, because that's what all of this really boils down to, is that somewhere a group of people agreed that this was okay to show, and there wasn't one person who said, you know, maybe we shouldn't do this.
The principal also told parents, "I'm a firm believer that when you make a mistake, you own it, you apologize, and you make it right." Now, we're also told tonight that the principal has met with some of the young women at the school who were offended by the video. The students say they are very happy that that the principal has been open to listening to them, and they feel he has taken ownership for what has happened. Reporting live from Flower Mound, Marianne Martinez, CBS 11 News.
And I think that video should never have been made. If you want to do something like this, don't be doing a fashion show. Just don't miss the mark. Don't put on a song like that. Just say, hey, we're making a little video that will help explain this. Help explain it. So let's just show our next segment. Coming up, the 4 reasons why dress codes are sexist. From MTV Impact 4 years ago. So stay with us. If you thought that dress codes are sexist, wait till you hear the top 4 reasons why dress codes are sexist. And let me explain this to you. These dress codes target all women. We all as men here, we have to respect women, no matter what. I mean, are we going back to the days where women didn't have any rights? No, we're not. I mean, I think we are. Because when you learn history, you learn from the mistakes and you don't repeat history. History cannot repeat itself. Take a look.
Think a world without school dress codes would be chaos? This week on Decoded, oh no, not this dream again. A few years back, student rebellions against sexist dress codes were all over the news, with campaigns like #IamMoreThanADistraction. It's been pretty cool watching kids get in on the action and fighting for the change they believe in. Now I know what you're thinking. If dress codes are sexist, what should we do? Just not have dress codes? But that would lead to a world of unstructured madness, mass hysteria, and no one would ever know spaghetti strap tops were appropriate. Someone think of the children! Okay, stop. Before you get your dress code compliant undies in a bunch, let me just say that no, I don't believe the answer is to just abolish dress codes. But let's strap in and take a look at how dress codes can get things wrong. Really, really wrong. Number 1, unfair enforcement. Let's get one thing straight. It's reasonable for schools to have guidelines on what not to wear, just like a normal workplace or a convenience store with a no shirt, no shoes, no service sign. Also, the thought of being barefoot in a convenience store makes me, ugh. The problem is that a lot of the items schools ban take pretty specific aim at girls. Remember the story about the 15-year-old Florida girl forced to wear a shame suit for wearing a skirt just slightly too short to meet the school's knee-length dress code? Or how about the 15-year-old girl recovering from cancer treatment who got sent to the principal's office for wearing a hat? Or earlier this year, when a 17-year-old girl was forced to put Band-Aids on her nipples because her sunburn made it too uncomfortable to wear a bra. And yes, for those who don't know, black people can get sunburns. Wait, really? And while many of these rules are technically evenly applied across genders, like rules about how long shorts have to be, whether tank tops are acceptable, or if it's ever okay to show midriff, they don't affect boys nearly as much. Probably because we haven't progressed as a society enough where 15-year-old boys feel comfortable wearing crop tops to school. Plus, girls' fashion has a lot more variety than boys, and many of these rules send a message that girls' bodies are a distraction that they're at fault for. Which brings me to our next point. Number 2, dress codes sexualize young girls. Distraction is a word that comes up a lot when people talk about dress codes. Can clothes be distracting? Absolutely. I imagine that if someone showed up to school wearing one of those one-man band outfits from Mary Poppins, a full astronaut suit, or a hardcore Black Panther cosplay, you might have a few questions. But distracting is often a coded way of saying that an outfit is too sexy, which is incredibly subjective. The rules that often get laid out, bans on leggings, restrictions on shorts and skirts, or rules about cleavage, are more about policing girls' bodies than they are about banning certain clothes. One Kentucky girl got sent home for violating a dress code because a teacher could see her collarbone. Sexy, forbidden, collarbone. The lesson here is that girls' bodies are a distraction and boys aren't responsible for staying focused on their own work. It's a very backwards message and it doesn't give enough credit to girls or to boys. We should be teaching boys to be responsible for their own actions instead of blaming girls for what they're wearing. Otherwise, we're just reinforcing the heteronormative idea that teenage boys are uncontrollable sex monsters. Whatever you do, don't show them your collarbone. Even worse, the way students sometimes get punished for breaking dress code by being given suspensions or being forced to wear intentionally hideous school-supplied cover-ups feels like it's more about shaming the students as opposed to keeping order in the school itself. So that whole thing about distractions? Sorry, not buying it. Nope.
Now, what about common sense? What happened to common sense? Why not detention? If you have detention, I mean, if you just simply give them detention or give them a warning and say don't do it again, that would have worked. What happened to Portuguese ingenuity or common sense? Common sense seems to me that this would have been taken care of. You would have given them a warning and this would never happen again. We're bouncing off the wall. We're bouncing off the wall here.
Number 3. Racial prejudice can be built in. Yes, dress codes can and frequently are racist as well as sexist. Earlier this year, the National Women's Law Center put out a report alleging that black girls are significantly more likely to be hit with dress code violations than their white counterparts. There are a number of reasons why, but one of the biggest issues seems to be hair. If only there was some show with a charming and fashionable host that already did a quick, funny explainer about black hair stereotypes. The NWLC report found that 70% of schools in Washington, D.C. ban students from wearing scarves or head wraps. Other schools have banned locks, braids, extensions, or even just black girls being able to wear their naturally textured hair. A 12-year-old Florida girl was threatened with expulsion if she wouldn't cut or style her hair. A Toronto 8th grader was told that her hair was too poofy for school. And what constitutes natural hairstyles for black girls is very different than girls with non-kinky hair, and those differences need to be understood and respected. A video on black hair stereotypes would be so useful right now. Can someone make that video? Number 4, they reinforce gender stereotypes. Did you know that public schools in the U.S. aren't actually legally allowed to have separate dress codes for boys and girls? Thanks, Title IX. Apparently, neither do a whole bunch of schools. In 2013, one school punished a 14-year-old boy for wearing eyeshadow and eyeliner to class, something plenty of girls do every day without issue. Guyliner. If Khal Drogo can do it, so can you. In 2016, students in one California school decided they were fed up with the rules that required boys to keep their hair short, banned them from wearing earrings, and required girls' shoulder straps to be wider than 2 inches. They protested against the policies by swapping clothes for a day. Boys wore skirts and dresses, girls wore jeans and sweaters. One of the students said, "Our district's dress code should not favor or discriminate any gender. We believe everyone should be able to express themselves equally. A boy with long hair is no less of a hard worker than a girl with long hair." I'm not crying. You're crying. The best part about all of this was just 2 months later, the school changed its dress code to get rid of gender differences. This is good news not just for cisgender boys and girls, but also for trans and non-binary students. All students should have the same options to express themselves, regardless of gender. So, what should we do about all this? Look, school can be stressful enough as it is, without having to worry about a teacher body checking you in the hallway and tossing you into a shame suit to tell you that your shoulder straps are a few centimeters too narrow or your fingers reach just past the tip of your shorts. But there is a way to do this right. For example, Evanston Township High School in Evanston, Illinois, created a dress code that explicitly tries to avoid reinforcing stereotypes on the basis of race, sex, gender, identity or expression, sexual orientation, ethnicity, religion, cultural observance, household income, or body type. And they got the idea from the Oregon National Organization for Women's Model Dress Code. The basic rule is simple. Students need to make sure that the butt, boobs, nipples, and genitals, also known as are covered. Okay, that acronym isn't great, but you get it. Other than that, students can pretty much wear whatever they want, as long as the outfit includes a shirt, pants, and shoes, and doesn't promote violence, drug use, or hate speech. Evanston Township's experiment seems to be going well, and now other schools in the area and around the country are considering changing their dress codes too. So shout out to all the student activists who are pushing to change sexist and racist dress codes and looking good while doing it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time right here on Decoded.
And if there's a problem with your dress code, you can always file that Title IX complaint. How about this one 4 months ago? Take a look at this.
Together, let's change the...
Starting a school day, and now in Oklahoma, they're claiming that their school dress code is just sexist. So, take a look.
When it comes to the dress code, that's the main complaint of a petition started by a Union High School senior. As News Channel 8's Bert Mumolo reports, the petition is getting a lot of support. Bert.
Brenna, it's a very popular petition. Meanwhile, school officials saying they're just trying to create a safe and healthy school environment. The start of a new school year often comes with feelings of renewal and rejuvenation.
It's just really irritating.
But at Union High School, some students are feeling reprimand and rebuke.
I feel like very picked on.
And it all has to do with the dress code.
This year, they're being super strict on us women.
Those feelings are so strong that one student started an online petition called Union's Sexist Dress Code, which in just 1 week has racked up an impressive number of supporters.
As of right now, I think we're at 1,900 something.
I was a little surprised by it. Our administrative staff at the high school communicated dress code expectations 2 days before school started to everyone.
But those expectations, say the female students we spoke with, aren't being applied to the male students in equal measure.
Guys aren't being held to the same standard. Guys are allowed to sag their pants. They've been allowed to wear wife beaters around school, but if a girl wears a tank top, they're sent home. I see all the guys wearing shorts with their hands passing it, and then tank tops as well, and the hats and everything.
Do you think the boys are being held to the same standard?
Not at all. I think it's a double standard.
Sure, and I understand that. I empathize with that situation. However, we work very hard to make sure that our dress code applies equally to all students. I think sometimes fashion for girls causes some of them to make some choices which lead to a dress code violation.
Less than 30 minutes ago, one of my friends came up to me and told me she was dress coded for wearing leggings and her shirt wasn't completely covering her butt.
We are enforcing it a little bit. I think that the general feeling with administrators is that we've gotten a little bit lax, and so they are enforcing it pretty strictly.
I would like to see changes. I would like the school to be more lenient, as we're just expressing our styles. This is high school. This is where we figure out who we are, what we want to do. We should be able to express who we are as people, and a lot of people express who they are through clothes.
Now, school officials stress that no students have faced any disciplinary actions in the forms of suspensions or detentions. Meanwhile, some of those students say they'll be protesting the school policy tomorrow by encouraging their classmates not to comply with the dress code. Reporting live, Bert Mumlo, News Channel 8.
Wow. Well, I don't know what to say. We're going to take a break. Right back. Imagine being an honor roll student, and you get dress coded. Your whole life on the line. You get suspended for that dress code violation. Your honor roll goes on the line. College applications go online. And you won't be able to walk the stage. Exactly what happened 5 years ago, when an honor roll student was suspended over her dress code when it was on her shoulder. To say the school takes it very seriously, it really does. So, take a look.
I'll never wear a shirt.
Summer knew when she wore that shirt to Hickory Ridge High.
I had it right here, So the tops of my shoulders.
She could be violating the dress code.
It's usually taken really seriously.
The school makes it clear off-the-shoulder tops are not allowed, and the principal came to enforce it in the cafeteria.
She came up to me, she said, "Do you have a jacket?" I said, "No, I don't."
A friend gave Summer one of hers. She thought that was the end of it.
And then I, pulled it up. Pulled the jacket over, it zipped up the jacket.
But Summer says the principal wasn't satisfied, ordered her to go to the office to change. The honor roll senior has had issues with the principal before, to the point where her mother had to get involved.
I said, "I apologize, but I can't go anywhere with you unless my mom is on the phone."
So Summer sat and waited for her mom's call. That's when Summer says the principal called the SRO for backup.
Officer Elwood was within 5 feet of me, had his hand on his gun. She said, "I'm going to give you an ultimatum. We have tried to call your mother. You either come with me to the control room to change your shirt, or we will arrest you."
Summer's mom would eventually call back, so she agreed to go to the office. But by then it was too late. The senior with a 4.4 GPA, suspended for 10 days, told she can't walk at graduation.
A full ride means so much, and that is on the line right now.
Her future possibly stripped, all because of a shirt. Summer says it's a lot to shoulder.
It's just sad because I worked so hard for 4 years to walk across that stage, and we have drug dealers walking across that stage, and we have sex offenders walking across that stage, and then the 4.4 student who shoulders can't.
Now, here's what the suspension said. Description incident, student code of conduct violation, Wednesday, May 17, during Miss Klein approached Summer, told her shirt revealed bare shoulders, was not in dress code compliance. Miss Klein asked if she had a jacket. She confronted Summer, said no. Summer pulled a sleeve around her shoulders, said, "I think my shirt is fine." Her lower back was also completely exposed, so she was still not in compliance with dress code. Summer repeated again, "My shirt is fine." At this point, another student at the table handed her Summer her jacket, but Miss Klein said it was too late and Summer needed to come with her to the office. Summer said that her mother told her not to talk to Miss Klein without Mom's permission. Summer tried to call Mom, and there was no answer. Miss Klein told Summer again that she needed to come with her. Summer said no. Miss Klein called Officer Elwood, who also asked Summer to come with her, and she refused. Miss Grace also asked Summer to go to the office with her. Summer refused. In order to prevent disruption in the entire cafeteria, students, Miss Klein wanted to end the bell beat Summer leave the cafeteria. Miss Grace saw Mrs. Summer enter the auditorium, so Mrs. Klein asked the 40 students waiting outside the auditorium to wait outside, and asked 30 students who were already in the auditorium to exit. When the auditorium was empty, Mrs. Klein told Summer, according to the guidances of the deputy superintendent, that she didn't go in Miss Klein's office right now. Officer Elwood would arrest her for trespassing. At this moment, Summer's mom called, who spoke with Summer, something that complied with Officer Elwood. So take a look. This was just a 10-day suspension for insubordination.
Oh, this is the official suspension letter, and you can see right here the reason for her suspension, technically not the dress code violation, but rather insubordination. It goes on to say that Summer didn't listen. She denied that her shirt was ever a problem. Her mother, though, says she plans on appealing. Reporting live at Hickory Ridge High, I'm Tanya Mendes, NBC Charlotte.
Probably in future references, we'll focus in on a future Throwback Thursday. We'll talk about people who did not walk graduation, especially one who had a Mexican flag over his gown and who didn't get his diploma. But here's our final Throwback Thursday. Remember it was 4 years ago. It was 3 years ago when we talked about teachers cutting their students' hairs. Well, we focused in on a student in Far Bluff who had his hair cut because he didn't listen, because he didn't want his hair
Doctor cut his son's hair.
So he didn't want his haircut. So he texted his father, and what happened next was started in one. Take a look.
Who's signed to him?
Instructor cut his son's hair without permission.
Our Crystal Dominguez has been covering this story all day. She joins us now live in the studio with more details. Crystal.
Right, and this father is furious because his son came home with a military-style haircut. There wasn't permission. 14-year-old Wesley Benham is in ROTC at Flower Bluff High School. He says yesterday his instructor shaved his hair off in front of his class without his or his parents' permission. On Wednesday, 14-year-old Wesley Benham texted his father to take him out of school early because he says he was humiliated.
And I said, why? Then he sent me a picture of his hair. And I said, well, what happened?
His son told him that his ROTC instructor chopped his hair off without his permission.
And when it was my turn, he said, sit down. And I was like, I don't want it. And he was like, well, I can just fill out the paperwork. I can get you sent out of ROTC. So I sat down and I couldn't move. I didn't want to do anything. He just started shaving my head.
Benham says the ROTC program has inspections on Wednesdays, meaning they go through a checklist, making sure each student's uniform and appearance is in order.
And him being respectful and, of his elders and everything, he didn't want to argue with him. He was afraid of getting kicked out of ROTC because he loves ROTC. And in fear of that, felt like he was obligated to do it. So he was bullied into doing this.
I went to see myself in the mirror in the school bathroom, and I just saw me.
Wesley's father says his son's hair was not in violation. Even though his son was out sick during the last inspection, he still was not told he needed a haircut.
It doesn't state anywhere that they have the permission or the right to cut their hair off. We didn't get a phone call, we didn't get a letter, we didn't get a note, nothing.
Benham says if the school would have told him his son needed a haircut, he would have taken care of it. He says people need a license to cut the public's hair.
For that school is responsible for teaching, not beauty makeovers and cosmetology and all that stuff and using clippers from God knows where they came from.
Benham says they spoke with school officials yesterday. What did they tell you?
Well, we're just as upset about it as you. I can only imagine. I'm sorry that happened to you, young man. That should have never been allowed to happen, blah, blah, blah. They basically just told us what we wanted to hear so we could go away.
Wesley's father says he appreciates the apology, but he wants assurance that this will never happen again.
They don't just do what they want to do with their kids.
Wesley says he's nervous to go back to school and even to the ROTC program.
I wish I could just get my hair back, but...
That picture you saw was of Wesley getting his hair fixed today at Supercuts. Benham says there were more than a dozen students whose hair was also cut off. He says he's been in contact with a handful of parents who are equally upset with the school. I reached out to Flower Bluff ISD officials and they told me right now they're working on gathering the facts. As soon as we get a comment, we'll update you.
That's part of next Thursday. So next Thursday our Throwback Thursday is going to be all about teachers cutting people's hair. We're going to replay the story, and we're going to replay this, and we're going to have the statement on. So that's next Thursday. That's our Throwback Thursday for this Thursday. We'll see you again tomorrow for GMB Break Friday, where we talk about multiple personality syndrome. Good night, everyone.